All right, hello, and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and we got a lot. You can see by all these tabs, we got a lot to get through today. So, the markets are in turmoil. We are coming off the back of a high CPI print, CPI number from last week, and now on top of that, Celsius Network has written to its customers, has notified its customers to say that due to extreme market conditions, they are having to pause all withdrawals, swaps, transfers between accounts. So this is not good. And if you've been watching the channel for any length of time, you'll know that I'm a proponent for taking your Bitcoin and crypto off of exchanges. Don't have more on there than you need to. And this is exactly why. Not your keys, not your crypto. Similarly to the Luna catastrophe that happened of late as well, the Celsius Network tokens crashed 50%, right? But why am I showing you this tweet? Because just hours before halting withdrawals, Celsius transferred over 300 million in various cryptos to FTX exchange without giving a reason. So what do you think of this? Just sounds a bit scammy, just like Luna and many others before it, and I'm sure many others after it. So, this is not good. I feel really bad for anyone that was holding this token, and same as the Luna situation. Really, this is not good. It's putting a lot of pressure on markets, or at least it's the story behind the current dip, isn't it? Every dip has its narrative, and this is kind of what's being blamed for the Bitcoin drop. I got a lot of data to show you though, and some of it actually looks surprisingly good. So make sure you stick around for that. This is the USDD stable coin, and as you can see, it's just losing its peg. So with the USDD coin coming off of its peg, 700 million USDC has been injected into the Tron DAO, Decentralized Autonomous Organization, reserve to defend the USDD peg. Okay, so this is also this is not good. Feels familiar? Yeah. Where have we seen this before? Right. This is fresh in everyone's minds, isn't it? We've just had the collapse of UST, so something to keep an eye on. And at the same time, Tether is apparently starting to drop off of its peg. Maybe it's recovering, but this is probably something we ought to keep an eye on too. So what are the implications for these? Well, nobody really knows at the moment. Certainly, if all of these stablecoins were to collapse, it would have an enormous short-term impact on the price of Bitcoin and the market as a whole. But that remains to be seen. I will definitely keep you up to date. Tether, in the meantime, has said that the investment and the loans of Celsius that it holds has no impact on its reserves or stability. So maybe they'll be fine. Maybe they won't. We'll see. But Celsius is certainly not doing well. And CZ of Binance has said that a temporary pause of Bitcoin withdrawals on Binance Exchange due to a stuck transaction is causing a backlog. Should be fixed within 30 minutes, will update. And since then has tweeted to say it's going to probably take a bit longer. It's only impacting the Bitcoin network, and you can still withdraw Bitcoin on other networks like BEP20. It's likely going to take a bit longer to fix than my initial estimate. More updates soon. Thanks for your patience and understanding. So this is, in my opinion, this is just a temporary sort of congestion issue. This is not something to be worried about like the USD depegging or the Celsius thing. As you can see, there's a lot going on. At the same time, Bitcoin price at 24.2 here has a Mayer multiple of just 0.6. So first of all, what's the Mayer multiple? The Mayer multiple is the Bitcoin price relative to its 200-day moving average. For 97% of Bitcoin's life, the price of Bitcoin has been higher, more expensive than it is right now relative to its 200-day moving average. If you are a long-term holder of Bitcoin, if you are an accumulator of Bitcoin for the long term, if you're a dollar cost averager, a DCA buyer, then what are you waiting for? This is historically cheap. Only 3% of Bitcoin's life has been spent in these sorts of oversold conditions. And to continue along with this theme, we've got this from Plan B. This is the worst Bitcoin monthly RSI ever. Ever. Bitcoin has never ever been this oversold. Okay? So if you're a dollar cost averager, if you're an accumulator, what are you waiting for? These are the levels. Okay? Bitcoin's weekly RSI just hit the absolute lows of both the 2014 and the 2018 bear markets. Okay, you can see here and here, and now here we are again. So I'm not saying we couldn't go lower. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be open to more downside. I'm not saying anybody should be out here trying to catch a falling knife and time the absolute bottom. But what I am saying is, if you're a dollar cost averager, if you're a long-term holder, if you're an accumulator, then down here is the best price we've had in over a year, isn't it? over 2 years, really. In fact, Bitcoin is so cheap that some of these crypto influencers like TMG are saying that it's time for him to start selling assets to buy the Bitcoin dip. Crypto is selling his cars to buy more Bitcoin. These opportunities feel terrible at the time, but this is how you buy low and sell high. If you don't buy low, then how can you ever sell high? If you found value here so far, if you're enjoying the content, if you like the hype train that we're slowly starting to build, then drop a like on the video, make sure you're subscribed. And I've got this tweet here from Robert Kiyosaki. There's a lot inside this tweet, okay? There's a lot, so let me unpack this. First of all, I'll read the tweet. Best investment are cans of tuna fish. Inflation is about to take off. The best investments are cans of tuna and baked beans. You can't eat gold, silver, or Bitcoin. You can eat cans of tuna and baked beans. Food is most important. The starvation is the next problem. Invest in the solution. Take care. So, if you've been watching the channel, you'll know I'm a proponent of responsibly adding additional food, making sure you've got some stored up, because as I've shown you, if you go back and watch the videos, I've got one titled The Coming Food Catastrophe. There's quite a few in there if you just take a look through. I've been calling for this food shortage and food crisis. You can see it in the charts. You can see it in the commodity prices of grains and wheats, barley, corn, and now rice is coming into play as well. So all of these things are going to start costing more money. So if you haven't got food stocked up, if you can't feed yourself and protect yourself from starvation in the sort of medium term, then really get that sorted. And once you've got that sorted, then you can go to having hard forms of currency like gold, silver, Bitcoin, money outside the system, physical gold, physical silver, and Bitcoin on a cold storage wallet. So with that said, let's start to unpack this even more. Notice this. Inflation about to take off. Again, if you've been watching the channel, you'll know that my view is that this Fed is close to a pivot in timing, okay? And we have had a high CPI print, and people will be thinking, well, the inflation's out of control, they've got to continue to do more. But again, I've been saying all along, one or two things would happen. They would either tame inflation and point at the data and say, look, we did our token rate raises, we've got inflation starting to peak, and happy days, we achieved what we wanted to, we can back off. Or, I always said, or everything would break. Something would break first. We would get this huge deflationary shock. That would kill inflation dead. And then, and only then, can they justify this dovish pivot, more printing, propping everything back up, okay, using exponentially more money. I've said this time and time again that they are going to be forced to stop pretending that they don't want inflation. They have 30 plus trillion of debt, and they can only service that with large amounts of inflation. Robert Kiyosaki knows this. Inflation is about to take off. You know who else knows this? Bitcoin miners. Okay? The Bitcoin hash rate has made a new all-time high despite the price drop. Okay? So what does that tell you? That tells you capital expenditure, capital flow into Bitcoin mining is still increasing. They don't care that the price is going down. They don't care that we've dipped. They're going to keep buying miners. They're going to keep growing the network. They're going to continue to make this the most secure database on the planet, the only secure database on the planet. And price follows hash. Not of late, there's an enormous divergence, but where divergence exists comes opportunity. Novogratz says Bitcoin will break from stocks and lead the market by Q4. And when I first saw this, I thought that's a nice idea, that's a nice thought, but I'll have to see that to believe it. But looking at how oversold we are, like I've already shown you, we have never been this oversold, okay? Looking at how cheap we are on things like the Mayer multiple, given the drop that we have had that's so severe, this is starting to remind me a lot of the March 2020 plunge. This is starting to remind me a lot of the bear market low in 2018, and the technicals are starting to point to that as well. 42% of hedge funds expect Bitcoin to be at a new all-time high between $75,000 and $100,000 by the end of this year. Are we about to force this 4-year cycle low that I had previously been expecting towards the end of this year? Are we about to force this? Are we about to have some big drop down, force this early low, and then crack on to make a new all-time high? Of course, we will need a dovish pivot from the Fed, or we will likely need more printing. But if markets continue to drop, the Fed cannot tolerate this much longer. The Fed really cannot tolerate a big drop much longer. Okay? Yes, everything can go lower, but believe me, they are going to print this back up. And every time that we turn the printers back on, every single time, you need exponentially more money than you did the last time to be printed. We got this up to 22, 23 trillion, whatever the number is. Okay, and make no mistake about it, this is going 50, 70, 100 trillion eventually, okay? Because there's no other way they can service their 30 plus trillion of debt. More bullishness from BTC Fuel. This Bitcoin chart shows that Bitcoin is possibly aiming for the 0.618 fib retracement, okay? Right around 23K. Now, I'm pointing at this number. Remember this number, 23K. Remember it, okay? So here we are, up, down to the 618, and then the melt up. Here we are, up, down to the 618, right around 23K, and up to the melt up. So like I said, keep that number in your mind, because making a move at realized price, showing confluence with this, because that's right around 23K too, okay? There will be a Bitcoin bull run, Q4 of this year, says De Vere Group CEO. So this is more institutions that are confident about this. We got the Bitcoin 200 week moving average. And Plan B saying the reason why you are not buying this generational opportunity level is the same that you did not sell 60K. Greed and fear. Greed because you think you can time the absolute bottom, and fear because you think it can drop further. Forget about tops and bottoms, focus on strategy. DCA, accumulate, hold. And lastly, before we dive into some charts, we have got Anthony out here saying our funds have bought more Bitcoin. Okay, institutions are buying. That's because we are at record levels of cheapness relative to 200 days. That's because we are at record levels, bear market levels of oversold. Institutions are buying. The miners are expanding, as I showed you. We're right around these 23K levels, and look where the price is, 23K. Let's dive into a daily chart, and it starts to even as well. It starts to not even look as bad as you might think. I've had this fractal on here for the best part of how long now? For over a month, 35 days. Isn't this exactly what we're doing? Are we about to just fall off a cliff? Maybe. But also, what if we recover inside of this range and then push up back up to the top? Wouldn't we just be playing out this fractal almost to the T? We had our bull traps both to the upside. Is this our bear trap? You know, I asked this exact question yesterday. But for now, we'll have to see where the close comes in. Can we recover inside this range and chop around, continue a sideways move, a net sideways move? I don't know. But we'll find out soon enough. It doesn't look too bad, does it though? We got Ethereum breaching our first level. So again, are we going to wick back up, or is much lower downside on the cards here? The dollar is of course bid, and it looks like it wants, is this a double top? Are we going to break to a new high? I think likely we might have to push to one more high. We'll see. For now though, it's had a first reaction off of that high, so we'll keep an eye on this. Bond yields, look at bonds. Bonds are getting absolutely destroyed right now, and the yield, which is inversely correlated, is at a fresh high. So again, this is going to become problematic very quickly. Oil still trading around $120 a barrel. Gold and silver, look at this weird action from gold and silver. Gold and silver just still inside of this wedge, so neutral for gold, but people are being forced to close positions in order to cover other liquidations they've got in other assets. Silver again, big red candle, but we're still in, letting the stop do the worrying as per yesterday's video. I'm sure this will have been stopped out by now. It looks like we're right there on the stop, so we'll see. Does this form a double bottom? Does it not? Markets are in absolute turmoil right now, as you can see. Nasdaq pushing down for a new low, Dow as well, and we got the VIX over 32. But in amongst all of this, there's maximum opportunity. Okay, in amongst all of this volatility, there is maximum opportunity. So I'm not saying to try to catch any falling knives. As per yesterday's video, have a plan and stick to it. But potentially this isn't as bad as it looks. Potentially we are getting close. We're getting close to finally finding a low. Are we getting close to finally putting in one of these sideways fractals for Bitcoin? Quite possibly. So stay strong out there. Remember to look at the data. Remember to manage risk. If you found value here today, make sure you're subscribed. Drop a like on the video. That helps the YouTube algorithm. We've got lovely weather again, and I'm absolutely loving it. Remember that during these horrible times of volatility, it can be quite hard to hold what you hold unless you know what you hold. Okay, and remember, if you hold Bitcoin, then you hold the hardest form of money on the planet. Money that cannot be debased. Property that you and only you can own. Okay, no one can take it. Unconfiscatable, undestroyable, perfect money. I'm your boy Camel, sending love through these volatile times. Take care out there. All the best. Cheers. Bye.